guys? Chris Dunn back with you, and I'm here with my good buddy
Carter Thomas of Coin Mastery. What's up, guys?
I know a lot of you guys have been watching his videos. We're here at Consensus 2018, and tonight we have the Crypto Influencer Awards, so we're just kind of hanging out. And I was just commending Carter on his kick-ass job of doing daily videos. For how long have you been doing it now? Daily crypto videos.
Yeah, since like July of 2017, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, a lot of people don't know what really goes into producing something like that, so I just want to start the video by commending you. But in this video, we just kind of wanted to talk about some common questions that we've gotten recently, kind of the state of crypto, and maybe some predictions for the rest of this year.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's always good to just hear from other people, different perspectives. And also, we talk to so many people, right? We have access to a lot of really good information. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the first questions that would be fun to talk about is just what are some of the trends?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the things over 2018 that are getting us really excited? And I know that one thing I'm really excited about is exchanges and liquidity and how that's going to play out. Because I think that as we start to see these new exchanges being acquired and things like Circle, even Coinbase and Gemini, they're starting to expand. They're starting to be able to handle more customers, be able to bring in new people, new money. I mean, we're in New York City, we're surrounded by trillions and trillions of dollars in capital, and that's just, like, that needs a place to go. And I think that whole world is super exciting, and how decentralized exchanges can potentially bring into there using dark pools and all this other liquidity tools. I think that's going to be super important for the whole space of the next 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm super excited about just the evolution of exchanges and how to trade and how to invest and how to get capital in and out of certain markets. And just to give a little bit of history for anybody that's kind of new to crypto. So crypto exchanges haven't really been around that long. It was 2014 that we really had the first exchange, which was Mt. Gox, which I actually did a video a couple months before they went under, just kind of warning people of like the risks with these exchanges, because up until now, most of them have been unregulated, built by people that really don't understand finance. And I'm excited where we are now because we're starting to see like real exchanges with real backbone and just more options to trade this stuff.
Yeah, I think that it's, when you look at the exchanges and also the compliance and the amount of security that goes into an equities exchange like your E-Trade or Schwab or something like that. I mean, it's a huge business, and there's massive layers of everything, and crypto is slowly getting there, for better or for worse in different ways, but it's necessary for the average person to be able to feel safe putting their money in, and by doing so they can go and buy more crypto.
Yeah.
And there's only 21 million or maybe even 18 million legit Bitcoins out there. That's what we need. We need more people to just buy more Bitcoin. If we can facilitate that, that's going to be a great thing for price, for sure.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how decentralized exchanges, stuff like the Lightning Network, atomic swaps, stuff like that, I don't know. We'll see in the next 6 months where that ends up, but it's definitely one of the most exciting things that I see in the crypto space right now, and one of the fastest moving parts. And it's really kind of a side note, just looking at how many people are putting in real work into crypto. You don't see people putting on conferences trying to make fiat better. There were thousands and thousands of people here that are all genuinely trying, well, most of them genuinely trying to work on products and services and just bring this to the next evolution. So, for anybody that has been kind of holding out saying I don't believe in crypto, if you just look at the human capital that's going into building stuff, this is why I think not only is crypto not going away, but I am more bullish on it than I ever have been, right? And that doesn't mean that tomorrow I think price is going to be 100K. What that means is this space is going to continue to just evolve, and we're going to, it's really hard to predict, in my opinion, more than 6 months out, just because the pace in which change is increasing is just going crazy right now.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Especially being in New York, it's kind of ironic to be in New York for a whole crypto event, because when you start to talk to people that are in the established finance world and you ask them, hey, what does the next 20 years look like for investment banking or for hedge funds or anything, they kind of have this glazed look on their face. And what the bonds, equities, the current, I mean, it's the diminishing returns of macro investing. It's getting harder and harder to get the standard 10-15% that they're used to.
Yeah.
And so all that money needs to go into something, and hopefully into a new asset class. Crypto solves, and that's a huge problem for like the money markets of the world. And so you can see, that's why you see a lot of these executives moving into crypto. They're starting to join crypto coins. And that trend, right, even just the human movement out of finance and into crypto, and how that industry displaces itself, that's going to be super interesting, because that's going to help build the infrastructure required to make the big moves really happen.
Yeah, I mean, and some of my buddies on Wall Street, they're talking about how there's kind of this like mass exodus of either new talent or established people in the community that are like, sorry guys, I'm going to work on crypto stuff.
Yeah.
Where like just a few years ago, like I remember in 2013 to 15, like a lot of those same Wall Street guys were like laughing at us talking about crypto, and now they're like, we're drinking the Kool-Aid, hey, we're all in, you know? So just the human capital alone, right? And just kind of a side note too, that's why like anytime I hear somebody say like they're just perma bears on the stock market, I just think about the economy in the US, but the global economy. Like if you're bearish long term on equities in general, just stock equity, that means you're bearish on human capital and human effort. So, we go through like bull and bear cycles, but I'm bullish on the world long term. And like I'm bullish on crypto and just the, all of the work that we see and the development that we see right now. So
yeah, I think it's a great point. I think that another trend that kind of feeds into that, but it's also within the crypto space that I'm really interested in, is there's a bit of an unspoken conversation happening of it's got to be a winner take all world, where it's like either Bitcoin's going to win or Ethereum's going to win or EOS is going to win, or like nobody knows. And I think that we're going to find that there's actually going to be a lot of winners in very unique industries or different use cases. And one of the trends is not only going to be, how that evolves, but how those connect, right? Like how do these blockchains start to talk to each other, both within the crypto space and to the outer world? Because not everybody can make their own blockchain or put it on Ethereum or whatever tomorrow. And how that plays out, like how all the money enters, how all the data enters, I don't think anybody's figured that out yet, and I don't know if that's going to be figured out, but those are the conversations that a lot of these Fortune 500 companies are having. Is, okay, we know the blockchain is the future, we know crypto is the future, we have like a task force, a
lot of capital, a lot of people.
We know we need to do it, but what do we do?
Yeah.
Like how do we get into this?
I saw that firsthand at Tim Draper's office last month. He hosted a blockchain conference basically for corporate executives, and there were, I was surprised, it was like half the people there were from China, like very interested in like how can we put our business on either on the blockchain or really leverage this technology. And so this is like a real global phenomenon, and it really is a gold rush.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think that it's, we were talking about this last night, kind of separating what I think is going to start to happen in 2018, maybe even in 2019, is being okay with progress happening, but price not following suit. Yeah. Whereas in 2017, for the most part, price went first and progress kind of flatlined, so to speak. And I think now we might start seeing a new divergence in that, but then eventually the price is going to come and meet the progress that's happening. And as investors, traders, people that are just in crypto, I think that being able to have that patience and sit back and do your research and be prepared looking at what's going on and being aware of some of the trends that you're really interested in, watching the progress, watching the capital move into segments of the crypto economy, knowing that price will follow that progress at some point. Same thing happened on the internet. It just takes a little. I mean, for all we know, it could take 2 months and not a year. It could happen next week, but that's going to be really interesting how the progress and price kind of work together.
Yeah, that's a good point. We, in past videos, I've talked about like the hype cycle, where people realize like, oh, this is real, this is a huge thing, and then a lot of people pile in at once. And last year in 2017, we saw a lot of that. When price went from 10 or 12K to 20K in just a few weeks. That wasn't due to innovation. That was due to the greater fool theory.
Yeah.
People just buying because they saw other people buying, and that's why we got the crash.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we talk about longer term market cycles. And I completely agree. Like right now, prices have been coming down. And so I have some predictions for price that we can talk about in a second, but I completely agree. Like, we'll see more development, we'll see more work. That's not stopping. Price is going to do this over time, and it's really irrelevant to the pace of development, the pace of innovation.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. Yeah, there's going to be a moment for everybody where there's a coin or a token or a company, and all of a sudden you think to yourself, how did I ever not have this? And once that happens, that's when things are going to start to go big. Because when you look back on the internet, and as a total nerd, one thing I do is I go back and I read newspapers from, like, archived newspapers. So I read a lot of newspapers from 94, 95, 96, and then again from 98, 99, 2000.
Good idea.
Same in 2006, 2007, right before the other crash. And you can see how these, like, the market psychology progresses. And what happened in 98, 99 is that a lot of people were buying stuff online, and it was a successful experience, and they were coming out and saying, like, I'm never going back to the local store again. This is the best thing that ever happened. And that's what drove, like, the huge valuations.
Yeah, but at the same time, you also had people that were like, I'm not putting my credit card on the internet. Like, are you crazy?
That's
like,
it.
now those same people they have like the Amazon Prime one-click button, right? And they're like, of course I'm not going to go to Walmart. I'm just going to boop.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think is going to happen with crypto, where the next bubble is going to be an adoption bubble, where it's going to be all of a sudden people are actually using coins and tokens and products in ways that are valuable, but we have no idea how to value them. So there's a new value proposition, but it's still a complete question mark, and that can cause like another round of huge run-ups, which will be way bigger than anything, in my opinion, way bigger than anything we've seen so far.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't know if that's going to happen tomorrow or 5 years from now, but I do, just kind of talking about price, like I think we are now in the 5th phase of the 5-step cycle that I talked about in one of my last videos, and I'm prepared both mentally and from a capital standpoint that when we go back into phase 1 with accumulation, like I'm ready to hit that, and I would just encourage anybody who's like, doesn't matter if you don't own any Bitcoin now or if you're an active trader or somewhere in between, like just think about the reason why you're in crypto. Did you get into this space just because your neighbor or your friend or your coworker said like, hey, Bitcoin's going up, you should buy some? Or is this something that you really see the vision and you're in it for the long run? I would just encourage people not to be too short-sighted, right? And just to really think in terms of like years out.
Yeah.
Be patient.
There's what you just said actually reminded me, there's an unbelievable video that anybody should Google by a guy named Les Brown, I believe his name is. And I think he's a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
But he gives this talk where he talked about how his first job he's a disc jockey, and he wants to be the DJ so bad, and so he's just an assistant. And it's a long story, but he has this quote, and he says, "I was young, I was ready, and I was hungry." And when you go back and you watch it again, you realize that the most important part of that is that he was ready, because all he did every day was just get ready for that moment when the disc jockey fell asleep at the wheel or got too drunk, and he could step in and he actually had a chance to go, and he became the DJ because of that. And I think what Chris just said is so dead on. a lot of people often look at these cycles of volatility or kind of boring. But when in reality, this is when you get ready.
Yeah.
This is when you prepare, because there's gonna be something huge that happens over the next year or two. We have no idea what it's gonna be. We have no about how big or whatever. But if you're ready, you can capitalize. And if you're not ready, you're gonna be sitting there being like, what do I do? Like,
Yeah.
is this the time? Like, going on Twitter and wondering what other people are doing, and being ready is so critical. Knowing that we are in the trough of another huge thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, what most people do is when price comes down, they rage quit. They say, screw this, I'm out.
Yeah.
But that's the time to prepare, right? Preparation and patience. That's why in 2015, like, everybody thought we were crazy talking about this stuff. And you look at a chart and it's like, it doesn't make sense to be excited about something when the price has crashed post-bubble. But that is the time to be more excited. And I would almost encourage people, like, if you're somebody who's like emotionally reacting to price on a daily basis, stop checking it every freaking day. Like step back and focus on what matters, which is development and innovation. And then when we go back into either an early trend or some kind of momentum, you can step in and participate. But don't get tick locked. Don't let your emotions ride on every pop and flop in the price.
Yeah. One thing I've been thinking a lot about too is this, again, like the idea of divergences. I remember looking back at Q4 of 2017, and one of the best trades I've ever had was with Stellar Lumens. And I distinctly remember watching these altcoins just go down and down and down, and then even down even further. And yet Bitcoin and the whole market was going up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really strange to see like the growth expanding, but the prices, in Bitcoin terms at least, keep going down on products that were legit. And so there's a huge divergence, which, like we talked about, obviously sprung back into what was alt season or whatever you want to call it. And I think the same thing is starting to happen here, right? The market is growing. People are coming into crypto. The prices may be like flatlining or declining, but the energy and the talent and the innovation is going up.
Yeah.
And so we're getting a whole new, but it's a macro divergence. It's a huge institutional divergence that will eventually work itself out. And that's when the opportunities start to really show themselves. It's when you feel like it's never coming back. It feels like this is done. Like,
yeah.
Where everyone is like, well, if it crosses this line below whatever price, we're screwed, and it's going down to zero.
That's like when CNBC talks about like the death cross with the moving guy. I'm just like, oh my god, I didn't have a clue what they're talking about. But yeah, I mean, I would encourage anybody that's like watching this from home, if you haven't gone to a crypto conference, do it. Just, if for no other reason, just to see what the hell is going on, because it's crazy. Like a few years ago, I remember like the first Bitcoin meetup I went to was in like 2013. There was like 5 people there. Now those same meetings, there's like thousands, hundreds or thousands. And like last night we were on a yacht, with crypto. I'm like, there's probably 2,000 people here, and I'm hearing Russian, I'm hearing Chinese. I heard some people from Argentina. It's like, this is great. This is an awesome time to be alive.
Yeah.
Like, we have a globe, we're so connected now, and like we're changing money.
Right.
How cool is that?
It's. I think one thing too that's been really interesting is, I didn't go to Consensus last year, but I watched all the live streams, and there was very clear bullishness, but it was almost unchecked. And I think this year one of the overarching themes is, we're all bullish, but we have this regulatory kind of thing that we need to work out.
Yep.
And I think it's overall positive for the most part that we are gonna figure it out as best we can, but that's going to be something that's really interesting too. And I think that it's not going to decimate prices the way people think it will. It may cause a lot of bad projects to fade out faster than they ordinarily would, which I think we would all agree is probably for the better overall. But I think that that's also going to be a really important trend over the next year, like 6 months, 12 months,
Yeah.
for both existing projects and, more importantly, for new projects to come out.
Yeah, I think to your point, I think regulation is necessary. I would prefer kind of self-regulation over government regulation because this is a global thing. I'm already starting to feel like, okay, there's not only in the US, there's different government agencies that are all trying to like claim governance over this space, but you have different governments around the world, and so it's kind of like playing hopscotch, like what regulations do we play by? I would almost prefer if like the crypto community figured out how to better self-regulate and get rid of the blatant scams, get rid of the impersonators on social media, get rid of, exit scams and shit like that, and also help people invest wise. And I'm really conflicted on the whole thing about accredited investors, right?
Sure.
And kind of a caveat here, I think that the whole like crypto Lambo thing is bullshit. I think the biggest goal for people should not be to have Lambos and flaunt wealth. It should be to become an accredited investor, because what that does for you is it gets you access to better deal flow.
Yeah.
It gets you access into investments that have the potential for much higher gains. And kind of another side note, I think a prediction in the future with the stock market, I think we're going to see lower returns over the next decade. And I think a lot of the alpha, a lot of the bigger returns are going to be in earlier stage stuff. And the way that the regulations are set up now, if you're not an accredited investor, meaning your net worth isn't $1 million or more, you can't get access to that deal flow.
Right.
Now, again, I don't necessarily agree that it should stay that way. I think if we can help educate people how to invest the right way, hopefully people that aren't accredited can get access to that. But if you are somebody that's made a lot of money in crypto recently, forget the Lambos and stuff. Like, focus on just being a professional investor.
Yeah, it's so true. I had lunch with my buddy Ken yesterday, and he owns a company, Republic, which is really trying to democratize investing for non-accredited investors, through the Jobs Act. But the problem is, at least in the U.S., I think it's 2,000 is your max, and you have a much smaller deal flow. Now, hopefully, they can fix that and they can open it up to, way more projects, but it's going to take a while. And to Chris's point, when you become an accredited investor in the United States, at least, it just opens up so many opportunities that you never really knew you had access to, and you can get a whole new deal flow that, like you said, is probably where majority of the returns are going to come in the next 10 years.
Yeah, and so that's for crypto, right? So we have like CoinList and a few other places where you can like verify your accredited status and then get access to like better ICO deals, but also in like just traditional VC. So for example, a couple of years ago, I invested in a company at, I think it was like a $10 or $11 million valuation. And then within 2 years, they're at a $40 million valuation. I was able to invest in their B round and basically add to that winner. If you're not an accredited investor, you can't get access to that stuff. You just have to buy Apple at all-time highs or Google at all-time highs, which is okay. And I have a certain percentage of my portfolio in long-term equities that I'm just not going to try to overmanage. But the alpha, meaning the big returns, are, I think, going to be in the earlier stage.
Yeah, and I think also it's important, anybody watching, you may be like, well, I'm not going to make $1 million, or the other, you get $1 million net worth, not including your house, or you can make $200,000 a year. And a lot of people are probably thinking to themselves, I'm not even close to that right now. And that's okay. It's not like you got to do it or else you're screwed. It's more like that's just a really good goal to have.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, it was just something I never really thought of because no one even told me that that's something that you should try to achieve.
Yeah, we don't teach that in school.
Yeah, no one told me.
We don't even teach like the basics of investing in school, let alone like what the hell an accredited investor is and why it's actually important.
Exactly.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, just set that as a goal and make wise decisions, right? Like, don't buy a Lambo. Don't I don't know. I'm not giving anybody financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor, but that's just something that I think is going to be a big trend. And again, I hope that the regulations become better with that to where they don't exclude 98% of the population. But there's a reason why over time the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And the reason why we do these videos and my whole purpose in life is to lessen suffering and increase prosperity for people. Mm-hmm. And the best way to increase prosperity is to have capital, right? Like money's not evil. Money's a tool, right? So use it wisely.
I think that's so right on. I think the other piece of the regulatory puzzle that a lot of people don't necessarily realize for whatever reason, and maybe it's also because they don't want this to be the truth, is that I think you're going to see in the next 6 to 12 months the companies and the products and the teams and the coins that succeed do raise a good amount of money, and they have really good legal teams behind them. It's not like two people can put together a company, slap a security, they put it on like a security token exchange and check a few boxes, and all of a sudden it's SEC compliant. Like, it's still going to be following the same rules as if you were trying to become a publicly traded company. Mm-hmm. And that's an unfortunate truth, but I think that's what the market's going to look like over the next 12 months, at least in the United States, which is going to cascade into other markets as well as exchanges go out.
Well, guys, we actually have to run to a meetup that we're hosting and actually going to meet up with a lot of you. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you got a lot of value out of it.
Yeah, thanks everyone for taking the time. It's always a pleasure to give you guys some videos, and we will see you in the next one.
Take care, guys.